The Northman is probably the most metal movie I have seen in a long time. Hey, movie fans, so I just got back from seeing Robert Eggers' The Northman. So I'm a really big fan of Robert Eggers. I really enjoyed The Witch. I think I enjoyed The Lighthouse. I'm still trying to process what exactly I saw with that movie, but I think I liked it. So I was really hyped for The Northman. It seemed like a really fascinating story of revenge. It's supposedly the story that Hamlet takes inspiration from, that Lion King would take inspiration from that, of basically a son goes on a revenge quest to avenge the death of his father at the hands of his uncle. You've heard the story before, but now with Robert Eggers' spin on it, how does it shape up? Pretty good. Robert Eggers is known for pretty out there movies. The Lighthouse is probably one of the most out there movies I've ever seen. That being said, this is probably Robert Eggers' most, for lack of a better term, mainstream and accessible movie. That being said, it is still very much an Eggers movie. You're gonna get the trippy weirdness from time to time, but it still works really well in the context of this movie. There's nothing too outrageous that's gonna take you out of it, but even if you don't know it's a Robert Eggers movie and you've seen his other stuff, you can go, oh yeah, this is a Robert Eggers movie. So there's some good, there's some bad, but mostly good. So starting us off with some of the good, the cast in this is phenomenal. Alexander Skarsgard is our main protagonist that we're following. He is outstanding. He has this intensity and ferocity. So for him, more or less, he's like channeling the spirit of his animal brethren, whether it's the wolf or the bear. You feel that in his posture. He's war ready at all times. He's sullen and sunken when he needs to be. He does more communicating with his body language than he does with any of the words that he speaks. That being said, I still get behind him even if he isn't necessarily the most relatable protagonist. I thought the work that he does is outstanding, some of the best that he's ever done. I think Alexander Skarsgård is fantastic, but that's not overlooking the fantastic work of Klaus Bang as his uncle, the main antagonist. I really liked how well-rounded they made this villain. It's not just like a snidely whiplash, twirl your mustache type of situation. Without delving too much into it, there's some interesting twists to the story with the villain, that it's not just a revenge, take back my land and claim back my honor. There's more complexity to it. It's not just black and white anymore, and I really, really like that. Anya-Taylor Joy honestly never phones in a single performance. She plays a character that's kind of caught in the middle of it all, that kind of gets roped into Alexander Skarsgård's narrative, and they kind of end up as a couple because you just have to have that somewhere in the story. But she it's a different role for Anya-Taylor Joy, but that's kind of just her entire career is different every single time. She's worked with Robert Eggers in the past with The Witch, and I thought she was excellent in that. She's excellent in this. The cast is spectacular. I also really love the music. The music really just encapsulates, you feel like you're in a Viking world basically from the get-go. It helps set the stage for the rest of the movie. It helps you be guided along this twisting path, so to speak. I do think the movie, if I had to pick up some negatives, I do think the movie kind of drags at some point. If you're expecting a John Wick style movie except with Viking slaughter, that's not this. Don't get me wrong, there's some sweet Viking slaughter here, but there's long stretches without it. I did not mind that. I liked the slow burn approach to it of, okay, I will pick my spots. I'm not just going to kill this person. I am going to ruin his life. I am going to pick him apart piece by piece. In some cases, literally, actually. The world that is set up for this is fantastic. The music's fantastic for this. Robert Eggers has fantastic attention to detail. You saw it with The Witch, you saw it with The Lighthouse. This feels like you're so engrossed in the world. It seems so familiar, but not. Like, okay, I can clearly tell that the homework has been put in to make sure that this is an authentic experience, as you know, as authentic as you can get with a Viking movie in 2022. I really enjoyed this movie. It does have some pacing, if you want to say quote-unquote pacing issues. There are parts that it drags, but for the most part, I was really, really locked in. The final epic fight, you've heard probably them talk about it in interviews. It's fantastic, but it also, I love that this movie is not just a straightforward revenge story in terms of, okay, this is what's going to happen. It's the expected route that's going to take. There's some nuance to it, and the movie more or less is a story about the nature of revenge, of do the ends justify the means? Is revenge always worth it in the end? A la The Last of Us 2, I kind of got that vibe of like, how broken are the people that seek out revenge, and how does it affect everyone around them? Because yes, you've got your main two combatants going at it, but there's ripple effects on their narrative for everyone around them, which I really, really dug. The camera work is always incredibly solid for Robert Eggers' movie. He's like the mirror opposite of Wes Anderson in terms of he's got very symmetrical cinematography, but it's always dark and evil, and I like it a lot. I love The Northman a lot. It probably won't end up being my favorite movie of the year, but it's definitely one of the best made movies I've seen so far. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed all the performances. It won't be one that I rush out to watch multiple times, like a No Way Home. I can just put that on whenever and enjoy it. This is a fantastic movie. It's not like a rewatchable movie all the time, but it's still really good. A lot of good Viking action when it's there, but when you're not focusing on the action, there's good character pieces that keep you hooked into the overall narrative, with a really interesting development when it comes to the nature of revenge and how much is too much, and is your revenge actually what you think it is? Well, what do you guys think of The Northman? Have you guys seen it? Are you interested in seeing The Northman? Let me know in the comments down below. I always like hearing from you guys. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Help us get to 700 subscribers. That's our goal for the end of the year. And if you haven't already, subscribe to us on whatever podcasting app you listen to for the Uncharted Media podcast. That comes out every week. And as always, stay sharp, movie guys and gals.